Here we are. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. And we're very delighted to be having a discussion tonight about ocean safety and the recent formation of a squad of people who are going to help in ocean rescues. So I'd like to introduce the guests who are here, and we may have more. To your left, I'm sorry about the buzz on this. That's not good. Let me put this over here. Okay. On your left is Christine Brennan. Some of you may know Christine, but I learned a few things about Christine, and as she's from Breezy Point, which some people don't know it, so she tells people she's from near Rockaway. I mean, it is near Rockaway. I know there's a far Rockaway, but anyway. And I asked her how long she's been swimming, and she has been swimming her whole life. Since she was 6 years old, she has been on swim teams. And I asked her where she learned how to swim, and she said, I learned how to swim in Jamaica Bay. So that was a daunting place to learn how to swim.
Still alive.
And she's still alive. In 1999, Christine and her husband, who was an orthopedic surgeon, moved to Southampton, and so she started swimming again out here. She joined the East Hampton Wise Master Swim Team, and she's been a member of that team since 1999. So she is a good swimmer and has been a lifelong swimmer so far. So Christine, we're happy to have you. Please welcome. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Widen the angle here a little bit. Yes? It's where it needs to be. So to the right of Christine is Vinnie McGann, who I've known for a very long time. Because Vinnie is from Southampton, from Watermill. There was a difference. Watermill's a great place, but I asked him where he learned how to swim, and he said he learned at Flying Point and at Fowler's. And he said he refined his swimming techniques, including breath and holding work, at Artie Muller's dock on Lake Nowodonna in Watermill. Do you know where that is? Some of you know where that is. Vinnie has surfed in Colombia, Morocco, and India. He's crewed on racing sailboats and has also spent time fishing. He's fished for lobsters 90 miles southeast of Shinnecock and worked the bays commercially until the algal blooms wiped out scallops, clams, and oysters in 1985. He's a paddleboarder. He told me he's been out this year paddleboarding. He says he's still working on evolving his gills. And we're really delighted to have Vinnie McGann. So please welcome Vinnie McGann. So to the left of Christine and Vinnie is a guest who is going to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself. His name is Jim Arnold, and we're really happy to have you here today. Jim, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your...
Sure.
Yeah.
I am an officer in the East Hampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue, and I am a liaison to help start the Southampton Village Ocean Rescue, and a waterman all my life.
Okay.
Starting with YMCA swim club at the age of 5 to swim team throughout, being a lifeguard in New Jersey beaches, Ocean City, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then coming out here 25 years ago and being involved in the surfing, paddleboarding, triathlon / water world,
Okay.
ocean rescue, masters, local motor swimming, just about anything.
I understand, is it correct that you wrote the bylaws for the...
No, I did not write
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
bylaws. That's Mr. Ed Reed. He was one of our chiefs, another
Oh, okay,
officer.
I'm sorry.
And he
Yeah.
is tied up with work at the moment. He's a police officer in the village.
Okay.
and he's on his way.
He's on his way, good. Okay, great.
But we collaborated. I was an officer at that time as well. We worked on the bylaws which were going to be adopted, basically for word for word. With the village, made it a little bit easier for them to understand it. We have that happening on May 10th in the village.
That's exciting.
Completely.
So Vinny and I decided to sort of run this evening as follows. I asked Vinny, for starters, if he would just give us some general background on how this came to be and how this group was formed and why it's needed and so forth. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, Vinny?
Thanks, Penny. It's great to see everybody here and interested in ocean safety, so thanks for coming. And it'll be out on TV, which is a wonderful way to get the word out. Christine and Jim will be able to speak at length about details and the organization, but I want to give you a little context and background into how this developed. I think it's 15 years ago now that the polar bear plunge was instituted in Southampton, and our next door neighbor asked if we could pull some surfers together. It's usually on the 15th of December. If we can pull some surfers together with wetsuits to act as lifeguards / water safety. And I said, sure. And I think there were 15 or so of us surfers. There was the first year, there was a Coast Guard cutter, there was the police, the fire department, you name it, everybody was there. But it turned out that the wave zone force that was best used was surfers and lifeguards. So that's been ongoing for 15 years. And so there have been probably 100, if not 200 volunteer surfers and lifeguards who have acted as water safety for that event. And over the years, I'd spoken to Jim about his benefits, swim across Americans, and other things, and we'd always talked about a volunteer ocean rescue. So, bit by bit, piece by piece, somehow things have come along and come together, and the timing is right to have volunteer ocean rescue. So I just want to say thank you to these guys for making this happen and everyone else. But it's so encouraging to know that we'll have volunteers, resource in place to prevent accidents and drownings, and it's with the volunteers work.
Can one of you talk about how this group will be structured and how many people on it and what the qualifications are be on the group?
So the group is being formed now, and we're accepting applications for volunteers. The rules and the regs are similar to being an ocean lifeguard, with a few more caveats, a little bit more certifications, so that you can be certified for year-round life saving. That means 24/7 year-round. That means winter protocols, a number of other things that are instituted that are a little bit different than summer lifeguards, but very similar. Still have to do the same type of testing and the same type of physical test that the lifeguards do, no matter what age we are. So a lot of us that are still, in the 60 range and beyond, we still do it, which is great.
What are some of the differences between, say, winter and the rest of the year?
Knowing how you can perform in conditions. Risk assessment, we work on a lot of different levels similar to fire departments, and we work closely with the fire department, Coast Guard, police department, and other agencies because we aid them. We work in East Hampton, we work with all of those agencies and assist with ice rescue to large wave, big hurricane swell, getting people off of boats and getting them to the Coast Guard. So that is something that we're trying to teach the new group that's forming right now in the village, for Southampton Village. And they're coming to take our training. They're going to be brought up in our likeliness, if you will, or our shadow, and or we're going to mentor them and allow them to do what we do. And you'll have a force that'll be just like the East Hampton Ocean Rescue.
How many people are in it, and so this is in effect now? In other words, somebody in March or January, February in East Hampton is going to be helped by you folks?
Yes, the service that's going to be instituted in Southampton Village will be year-round. Within a handful of days, the village is voting on it on May 10th. Hopefully without any snafus or any objection from the general public. We should probably state that it doesn't increase your tax dollars because it's all volunteer. The second part of that is we're expendable. So you can look at it that way. It doesn't cost any investment. We're here to help the community. And go ahead, Ben.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask, how many years have you guys been at it in East Hampton now?
We're on our 11th year.
And it's 24/7, 365 days.
Does that mean that you and your cohort are looking at the calendar and saying, okay, this week I better stick around and,
No.
are you on call?
We're on call. We are tuned out by 911 dispatch. We all carry pagers. And officers, I didn't bring my radio, but we carry 800 radios like the fire department, police department. So if we get toned out, we have a specific band, just like ambulance and or fire department. We have a particular band that will get called out for any water emergency. So
When you say
anything-
toned out, what does that mean?
You know the silly tone, you hear these things where they go,
Oh, okay.
it's an alarm of the pager itself,
Okay.
and it means that they're activating us.
So are they contacting all of you?
Yes,
All of you?
yes.
So assuming that some people will be around.
To answer your question was, that is how it works. We have 75 members from East Hampton, Town Line, which is the border, all the way to Montauk Point. So out of those 75 members, our goal has been 5 people within 5 minutes. And usually we're there within 3 minutes and in the water by 5.
So will the
Yes.
other people say, okay, I don't have to race from
No.
Southampton because I know there's already 5 going?
No, we're all about the same type mentality.
Okay,
We're
you're all going to try to cover.
A-type personalities, retrieve, get the ball, get the ball, get the ball. We have that mentality, we don't know how to stop.
Well, that's.
Sorry, brethren, but yes, we all perform that way.
Right.
We all perform, we go, and there are different levels of participation. So if we arrive and there are swimmers in the water, then there'll be beach command, there'll be hierarchy to have total control of the situation with all the other agencies involved. So we'll take our lead from the police department, they'll give us the go-ahead, and then if there's multiple people in the water or multiple situations, then we try to address that, each and every one, and bring them in to be then taken over by the ambulance crew, EMS, or whatever needs to be done.
So will the fire department, the ambulance, and the police department go as well?
Almost always,
They
almost always.
I think the most
Yeah.
important thing is, the reason why the Southampton Village Ocean Rescue came about is because we had 2 drownings. We had one in June when the lifeguards weren't on duty, and it was a West Point
In
cadet.
Southampton?
Yeah.
In the
Um,
village.
In the village.
Yes.
And so it was a West Point cadet, who obviously was in physical shape, who did not know how to negotiate or current or whatever it was. And lifeguards were not on duty. The other drowning we had, or fatality we had, was 2 weeks after Labor Day, where somebody from Sweden, I believe, and there were people on the beach that just didn't know how to help the person. By the time the police department came and the police are taking their uniforms off and their vests off and their gun belts and everything, it takes a little while if they're not prepared to do that. And who knows if the police officer can even swim.
Exactly.
So because of those 2 incidents, the mayor has been very receptive and basically on a mission to make sure that doesn't happen again.
And one of the questions that I thought I would ask was, who drowns? I mean, Is it people who've never swam? Is it people who swim but just don't know how to swim here? Talk a little bit about the profiles. Are there any things you can generalize about? In other words, do fairly good swimmers drown?
Rarely, but sometimes they do get in over their head. Not uncommon to have a wide range of profiles, if you will,
Okay.
or types, and or it could be, we had them in East Hampton. It could be a mother going in to save her children, and she gets overwhelmed, and we've had one where she saved the children, and she succumbed. There are lots of scenarios. It could be a surfer. It could be someone who is completely physically fit and have cardiac arrest. Most of the time, it's kids that don't understand the water. That would be more of the percentage, I believe, is actually uneducated young people.
What about rip currents?
Yes.
A lot of us are uneducated, don't you think?
Yes. There's a lot of information that's out there now, and I've brought some of our pamphlets and guides along. And a couple of the things that we've done in East Hampton we have put up signs in all the beach entrances. And then also, we do education in the schools, all of our East Hampton schools. We go to the schools and we teach them about pool safety. We teach them about ocean safety. This is something, the educational arm of the Ocean Rescue and the Lifeguard Association is what I believe is critical, is to teach these folks in your community what to look out for, how to keep each other safe, swim, like the simple things, swim with a buddy, don't go throw, which basically means anything that would look like it would be reasonable to float, a cushion, a cooler, don't go in the water yourself if you're a little person. You end up being a second victim. Lots of little things you say, they're just really simple guidelines that we teach are the key components about teaching grade school kids and high school kids to understand water awareness. So education is a key factor.
Yes. And do these kids, for instance, the kids who can't afford swimming lessons and so forth, is there some way, do the schools offer them opportunities to learn how to swim at the Y?
Yes, that is correct. The YMCA
Really?
offers to most of the schools, and in Southampton, the first and second graders, I believe, are able to go. Southampton schools do go to the YMCA, and they get, I think, 3 lessons or 3 times to the Y a year.
Really?
And
Yes.
this is a perfect segue to
Yeah.
put a pitch in for supporting the pool at Red Creek and Hampton Bays, because then all of these programs will be instituted for safety, ground proofing, and right in our backyard in Southampton.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know a lot of the details, but
But people can get information after tonight's
Yes.
program. If you're interested in learning more, we'll get information to you.
I believe the website is staraquacenter.com,
That's cool.
and it's a group of people who've been trying to put a pool in for about 25 years.
Yeah.
Originally got voted down in Hampton Bays years ago. They tried SYS, it got voted down there. They put squash courts in instead. And now they're trying again in Red Creek, and Jay Schneiderman seems to be very receptive to the idea.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I had gone to the meeting the other evening and was there, and a number of other folks were there that are in the swimming community that have been part of this for 23 years that it's been going on. The council folks that were there on the town board were very receptive. The presentation was pretty amazing. I do believe that, and it's been said before, that this time it looks like it has momentum.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good things that could come about. The community does deserve this. I think it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
It's private money. It's not coming from the tax base. Some of the things that the people should know in the community is that there's no downside for them. It doesn't cost them a thing. It'll only save people's lives, and it'll keep people out of trouble
Right.
if they get to use the community center.
And
Kids in
that's
particular.
such good news. Christine, we were chatting a little bit earlier, and you mentioned something about the waves here. And could you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, when I first moved here, being from Rockaway and being a lifeguard there, I went in the ocean here and I could feel the rip current, the tide, it's just very different from where I was. And, I even said to my husband, whoa, this is a little rougher than I'm used to. And I've been a swimmer my whole life, and I actually stopped and thought about, wow, this is a lot rougher. So I think a lot of people, a lot of tourists come and they think, okay, well, it's just the ocean. I've been in an ocean before. It's just not the same. I mean, I've seen some of the lifeguards in Hampton Bays, when they go out for a rescue and someone's caught in a rip current, they have ropes on there, and they swim out with a rope, and then the other lifeguards are towing them back in because they can't swim back themselves. So I just think education's important, and people who visit may not necessarily read signs.
That's absolutely true, and particularly a beach like Cooper's, and I'm sure the equivalent beaches in Bridgehampton, Sacramento, East Hampton, we are talking about visitors. Half of the beach population is probably visitors. What do you have on your signs at the beach? What does it say on your signs?
We have I have small postcards that could be taken home if you wish, but we have signs that are 17 by, I think, 24. That are this information in 2 languages, Spanish on the back, English on the front, but we put Spanish and the language on top of each other. And it indicates how to get out of a rip. It's basically allow yourself to be pulled out until you feel the pull loosen, and then swim parallel. You cannot fight these things, even the best of swimmers.
So wait a minute, you can't even start swimming parallel when you
Until
realize you're in it?
Right, you have to
That means you
allow
have to
yourself.
go way out there?
No, not necessarily. It could be 10 feet, it could be 40 feet. But you'd be surprised that if you allow yourself to relax, within moments, you'll be in a better place. And you can actually tread water, swim parallel to the beach, and find an easier way in. They don't hold you for long unless you try to resist it or fight against it.
Have you all been in rip currents many times? Or, I mean, would you expect to have it happen a few times this summer, or
Every day.
every day?
Yeah, we can pick them out. If you are a person who lives in the water, you can pick them out somewhat easily.
How do they know?
Video test.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Tim.
There's a few ways of identifying it. Choppy water, brown water from the sand, a deeper point that creates the channel going out, as opposed to the shallow sandbars that also help to form the rip current. But about what Jim said about identifying that rip, as good as all the information is, what's more important is that you have the experience, so experiential time in a rip. So we had spoken about, Penny, the junior lifeguard program. If you want to drown-proof your kids, get them in the junior lifeguard program. Jim's and the Y have tons of opportunities for kids to be safe. And hopefully, eventually, even adults, I've mentioned before that I teach surfing, and one of the things that I've done over the last 15 years is make sure that we get, and adults, kids as young as 6 or 8 years old, into a rip, get taken out, and experience that. And it's critical. And it's also very easy, and once you get past the fright, but if you panic and get a mouthful of water, it's trouble. So you need to experience that. And
So these
stay
kids are
calm.
kind of inoculated a little bit.
Drown-proof is the term that I love to use.
Yeah.
There's no 100%, no guarantee.
But June, go ahead.
I taught swimming lessons for a long time at, for one summer at Peconic Beach Club, and people say, Christine, could you come teach my kids how to swim in the ocean? I go, just get them surf lessons. That's who can do it. I said, I can teach them in the bay and underwater swimming and all that stuff, but if you want your kids confident, comfortable in the ocean, give them surf lessons.
And I would add to that the junior lifeguard program with
How old are they, the
ocean.
kids that are in the junior lifeguard program?
So the East Hampton program has been going on for 15 years now. The program has approximately 420 kids through the summer, and it's a great program. It's weekends. It's Saturday and Sunday mornings. And there are, well, we have age groups. The nippers are the young ones that are 5 to 8. And we take them to the bay so that they learn just basic water skills and learn to swim in the water, understand what the tidal pools will do and different things, and get comfortable. At age 9, they go from 9 to 14 at the beach, at the ocean beaches. And we have four locations in East Hampton. And the great thing is that these kids compete and do everything that we do as lifeguards, and we treat it as competition but team building. This is what this would look like if a four-person team would go out and save a victim 150 yards out in the water. They would swim out, 2 guards would bring them back, and then the people that are pulling the rope that Christina had explained about, because one of the swimmers will take the line, a 250-foot line, and swim out to the victim. And then one beach person will pull them in, and it's called a yoke. And we practice this. We practice paddle boards. We run on the beach. We go through about 5 to 7 exercises in a 2.5 to 3 hour training session, and the kids love it, and they go home exhausted, which the parents really love.
Do we have time for a 2-minute anecdote?
Oh, we have lots of time, we do have lots of time.
So one of my surf students, a young girl, I think she was 10, Marie at the time, was enrolled in Jim Ryan's junior lifeguard program. They said, could you stop and watch some of the competition? On my way to Montauk, it worked out, I could stop in East Hampton. The surf that day, it wasn't quite a hurricane, but it was a thumping, long interval, powerful, small-scale Hawaiian power. And when I rocked up to the beach, I looked at it and I go, I would think about where I'm going and how I'm going. And I've been surfing for over 55 years. So, and here's little Marie. She couldn't weigh more than a piece of spaghetti. And 50 other little kids like that going in with the aid of the senior adults and dealing with what I considered potentially life-threatening conditions if you weren't skilled. And so it was just hats off to Jim Ryan, you guys, and everybody.
So we're in the water and we assist them into the water, whether it's a paddleboard event or a swimming event, because I'm not sure why, but as our competition comes around every year, it happens to be big surf. Sideways rain, big surf, it could be just about anything. I don't think we've yet to have a flat day, but our kids are so excited, and at that point they've trained all summer, and they've been super excited about doing this. And it is the prelim to going to nationals.
So when does this take place?
This takes place at the last weekend of July, and then nationals are the second weekend of August.
And might I add that Marie was swaggering around the beach that day after what she had done.
These kids come away
It's just
so
changed her
proud,
life.
completely. If you ever get a chance to YouTube the competition in Australia and in New Zealand, they make the Hawaiians look like, you know, they're sort of tame. The Aussies really know how to understand and dive into their water world. Their whole life is water.
Can I ask a question about sharks?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm terrified of sharks. Do you see sharks, or do you see things that people think are sharks and they are not sharks? Are you afraid at all of encountering a shark? Don't tell me a scary story.
So,
No
They-
editing.
Vinny and I both surf. And I, like Vin, I've surfed, you know, around the world a bit. They are there. I have surfed and looked down the wave and go, wow, that's not my shadow. And then realized that was a shark who's out ahead of me. I've swam with and have surfed with dolphin that has been phenomenal. And right here locally, we'll do a training and be pulling kids in, and there'll be dolphin in the wave. Our water life is phenomenal. Our fisheries have come back a fair amount, which has the fish are abundant. which is quite nice, which means the rest of the other critters that are interested in them are here as well. But there are plenty of things for them to eat. We have white shark that are here, but they don't come into shore too often. It's pretty rare. And they have tracking tags on them. Mary Lou? What is it, Mary Lou? Thank you. I always forget her name, but they've been tracking for 3 years, and they monitor her her offspring, and
Well,
she
Mary
travels.
was a shark.
Oh yes, she's a great white. Sorry, and you can track her. Yeah, she's a great girl. And she travels like 1,700 miles from the Bahamas to Maine, back and forth. And they keep an eye on her. We do have them. They are here. We haven't had a shark attack on a human on Long Island for over 100 and some years. It's pretty much rare. But can't say
So I
never
mean,
is
if you're
never.
just getting in the water and you're not going out that far, that's.
You should be okay, Penny.
What we like to say is, don't be the furthest one out. Always make sure you're faster than the other person next to you.
I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you.
Right.
There's an app you can
Yes.
download that tells you where sharks are.
At this
Yeah.
current moment, you mean, like today, I
Yeah.
get up?
Well, there's a lot of people are watching.
Yeah.
believe it or not. We have
And they report
cams.
in, yeah, to that.
We have cams on beaches. We have a lot of eyes on the water than you think. Although we still have places that people don't see things happening that regularly, and it's unreported. But we do have them here, but it should not be a concern because they're not really interested in us.
Great project. If I can add to that, I tell my surf students, because it's a topic that comes up regularly.
Yeah,
I say, there's tons of sharks, but they're a minimum of 10 miles offshore, and maybe 20, and we're not in their food chain. So here's a little something to digest. Mike Bettini gave a little talk about the seal population in Montauk, and it's approaching 10,000 now, and it's growing geometrically. So there were probably, back in the day, I don't think much more than 100 of them. I don't have data to support that, but there weren't a lot of seals around. Now there are more. Mike said that when it hits 100,000, the predators that are up in Cape Cod will come down. But so we're okay for a few years.
so wait a minute, but will they be going after the seals?
Yes,
Right.
yes. Then
And you, when you go on the road.
And small people in little black white suits.
When we were growing up, we never saw dolphins, we never saw dolphins,
no.
and now we see a lot of dolphins.
And Jim raised a great point. And here's another kicker to the shark info, is that when they do taste you, they're looking for seals, and when they do realize that it's a human, they spit you out, which is really unfortunate.
Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah, they really don't have an interest in humans.
but the sea is alive, because I saw
Yeah.
2 whales, right-nose, I think they were, at Palmquag Beach, no more than 40 yards, 50 yards from the sand last summer,
Wow.
frolicking for 4 hours.
They don't,
We see them often now. We can say 10, 12 different whale sightings during the summer now.
okay, I'm really,
Right,
we never saw whales.
hump. We've had a couple different types of whales, and people have actually tracked them, and we'll get the report from the radio saying now they're going across the line, going in the bridge, and then we hear from people, the leftovers down here, Mark, and some of the other folks will. But yeah, we saw them at late in the afternoon, and everyone will let you know as they pass and keep heading west. It's pretty amazing.
I wanted to ask you about, okay, so we talked about several fatalities in the last couple of years.
Yes.
How many rescues do you do?
It depends on the season. Last year we had in East Hampton, and this is after hours, after the lifeguards, because at guarded beaches, these kids could jump off the stand and the type of wave or the timing of it all and the way that the surf is working in shallow water could deem that they would go from a green flag to a yellow flag instantly. And it could happen within 5 minutes, and it could last for an hour, it could last for all afternoon. And if it goes to red, then you know they're shutting the beach down. But the thing about it is that the kids will be pulling 10, 15 people out of the water in a short afternoon. Sometimes, like last year, we had 7 to 10 calls, and 3 ended up being real situations, serious situations.
But they
Sometimes-
lived, but the people
Oh, yes.
lived?
Yes. But we do have instances where one year we had the ocean rescue after hours or at an unprotected beach. Had calls somewhere in the, 25 range, where it all depends on what's happening with the season and how surf comes in. The weather phenomenon and the surf phenomenon is not unlike tornado seasons or snow seasons, or it all depends on how the ocean will react locally.
Are there any things that you can usually count on, like May is calm, June is rough, things like that, or?
Well, it usually starts, the calls and the incidents become more prevalent because of warmer water. So typically in May and June, the water's still coolish, not as many people in the water. That's not to say that the water's not thumping or, being difficult. But when you put more bodies in the water, then you have a higher percentage of people getting in
Okay.
trouble.
How many women are involved in this? We know Christina's here.
And,
And Ann. You're on the group too, in the group. That's great.
and at the last meeting, we had Maggie Purcell, who's a very accomplished swimmer in East Hampton, who was a senior in high school. So now we
Is
have
she the wife of a gym teacher, Purcell, Mr. Purcell?
a daughter. She's
Daughter.
She's 18,
Okay.
I believe.
Oh, okay.
So now
She's
we're
one
going
of
to start
our
getting
best.
some of the swim team members that are finishing school. They're interested in becoming, you have to be 18 to be part of the ocean rescue.
You'd have to have a lot of physical strength.
I would say yes, but I have to say after, being a guard for so long, and now a coach at the juniors, being an instructor, a coach, a proctor, watching all these kids come from the junior lifeguard program, the hurricane swim team, the local water kids that have developed since the YMCA was built, and how the community has come up. There are 400, 500 kids here that have gone on to get scholarships to colleges for swimming, where had the pool not been here or the juniors program, these kids wouldn't have gotten those types of
Right.
opportunities. The second part about that is watching the kids test. They have to test now. They're starting now. They're starting in the pool. Next week they go outside and start swimming in the ocean and start doing the harder drills of rescuing people in the water. And 3 weeks from now, actually, first week in June, they have the cold water test, which means that they will take their test in 60-degree water.
With no wetsuit?
No wetsuit. No wetsuit.
I'm taking that course right now. And there's about 40 to 50 kids
Oh
there,
my
Yeah.
God.
as well as 5 ocean rescue adults taking.
Yes, and adults. And what I have learned and have seen over the years, and I've done the test, I've participated in the test, and I've proctored the test. And it's the girls that come out the best. They have better fortitude, a little bit hardier. The skinny little surf boys that have a lot of bravado don't do so good.
Okay.
Yeah, but the women are pretty darn determined, and I've never seen anything like it. And I think it's just, it is the women instructors, it's the coaching, and it's a number of things that give them the confidence. And we have some pretty amazing women that have become some of our guards that have started in our programs, have been on our swim team, have been part of our HLA, the Hamptons Lifeguard Association, have gone on to nationals, then internationals, and we've got one local girl who's one of the only Americans pulling hardware at international lifeguard competition.
What do you mean pulling the hardware?
Well, bringing
Winning.
home the
Oh,
hardware.
bringing
No.
the medals. Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, speaking of women, we have to point out that in our audience, Anne
Yes.
is the role model for women swimming here in this town, right? Because you have probably done more to help swimmers. You know, you're the woman who's done it for many years. So we're really lucky to have you, and of course Vinny. But you too, thank you, Anne.
Thank
In fact, I think it was Anne, possibly, who told me about this whole thing, right? Was it Anne? Yeah, it was, of course. So, I know we don't have, you know, all night, but I would like to just hear like a really nice rescue story from each of you. Can we do that? I mean, are there more serious things that we should be asking?
There was a question in
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
audience, but that's okay, please.
My name is Wendy, I'm from Oyster Bay, New York.
Hi.
I'm from Minneapolis,
Cool.
and we have water rescue.
Yeah, good.
Obviously, we don't have ocean,
Okay.
but our divers are water rescue. Do you guys also do diving as well as ocean rescue? Because you have a lot of situations with boat rescues.
Mhm.
Divers are for recovery. It's already a done deal at that point usually.
Not always, we
Not
send them
always.
out on
Okay.
live calls.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They're our first, front for rescue.
We
Whether
understand,
they're
we
live
understand
or
that.
it's a
We
recovery.
work with our fire department and our dive teams that are
Oh,
local
you do
here.
have dive teams?
Yes, we do. The fire department have them, the police departments have them. Not all of them, mind you, but some of the larger departments do. We train with them, and they perform a service that is pretty amazing. We assist them. We have a different mindset, and I guess the easiest way to put it would be that we can arrive sooner. We're probably a bit lighter on our feet, a touch more fit and familiar with rough conditions, and less encumbered with equipment. So we try to arrive very fast with what we can carry. We don't need to put scuba gear on. So we try to work on we work within our bounds of being nimble and work with a group. If we can have 3 or 4 rescuers there, then we can work as a team and get in the water and get to the victim before they are a recovery person.
Right, so your
Yeah.
first line of defense would be the water rescue, as
Yes.
far as the ocean rescue, and then you would have scuba divers come in after or with you at the same time?
They'll be deployed.
So you
They
all
could-
get deployed at the same time?
A lot of times it can be, if we know what the situation is. If it's, let's say if it's a car that goes off of a pier or a dock or a bridge, which we've gone after, or a downed boat, everyone's deployed.
Right.
But Zodiacs and hard-bottom boats move slower than we do.
Mhm.
We have jet skis and sleds that are used for big water, just what you see in videos of big wave surfing. They're light, super fast, and we can get into the impact danger zone and come out of it usually unscathed. Doesn't mean we always do. But a rubber-bottom boat, a Zodiac, or what a dive team would take in, tends to get, if it's 4-foot seas, they're getting turned over.
Right.
We go in anything.
I have one more question
Yes.
before we hear the stories. Do you wear bathing suits under your clothes? I mean, so that you can just, so you don't have to change into your...
For that.
But I mean, that would be a practical thing to do. If you're-
They've all got wet skin
swimsuits.
Well, I mean, you have
No.
to change.
No.
You sleep in them, right?
We, if we had the opportunity to have what we call our speed suits, which you would see like Olympic swimmers wearing. We had women wear one-piece speed suits or two-piece, like the guards wear. We
Yeah.
wear the same. But you don't always have that opportunity. And
Yeah.
it's not about modesty. So if we're going, we're going. And if you have to put on one more article, that means you're taking seconds away from being in the water to help someone.
So you would just go in
A wetsuit, if we're changing into a wetsuit, most of the time when the weather's warm, we're already in our trunks. most of us are water people that we live in our,
I live in my bathing suit also.
Yeah, okay, so.
within reason. Within reason. But I do have a story, you asked about stories. We have a great gal who was one of our police department women who was a lifeguard all her life. And she's on the East Hampton Police Department, and there was a call, and the fire department got the tone, the police department got it at the same time, and we're a relatively new organization. It took the chiefs a 3 times to talk back and forth to say, send up Ocean Rescue as well. But at that point, this young gal was already on the scene, and she did not hesitate. This girl knew exactly what to do. And for the poor woman who had driven off some overpass and ended up in the water, was stuck in the car, this gal, all her gear, gun, vest, all her, bulletproof vest, everything, down to her sports bra and a very tight little thong, better way. She was a spectacle because all the fire department talked about it for years. She was amazing. She got this poor woman out of her car within moments, and it was pretty impressive. But that's the way we've been trained. Is
Yeah.
that you've asked about big waves, and Vinny mentioned that we all practice in surf that's not great conditions. We go in and we call it a ducky, float, where we go out and we get pushed around and we go under. We practice with our kids. When we take the kids in, we practice dive deep, dive long, and go again. And we keep practicing it so you learn how to get through that wave and those set waves and get out to clear water. And if you always know that you're going to make it to a place that's safe, then you can recover and then go back in. And we do it again and again and again. And repetition and practice, like anything, whether it's EMS or whatever we are practicing at, you get better at it and more comfortable.
Very impressive. Wait, okay, we have one
I
more
just have a
question.
question. Are you going to have like anything set up down at the beach where they could like tubes or ropes or anything at any of the stations to assist you? Unless, let's say you're walking along the beach at 5 o'clock in the evening and you see someone in trouble, you dial 911.
Right. Which is the correct thing to do,
Okay.
and give your location. So what we've done, we've identified, over in East Hampton, some of the things we've done, we've identified our beach areas so that if someone who's not from here sees a situation, they call in 911, and the first thing the dispatcher, the person who answers the phone, is going to ask, where are you? And you're going to go, I'm at the beach. I see a big shingled house. Of course, that's like everybody's house and the other beach. But we have road markings now in East Hampton. Hopefully you're able to identify where you are. And then the second part is, in some situations, we have big gaff hooks, if you will. Those big hooks that you would see that people have used over the years in pools and some of the beaches in Amagansett, Napeague. We also have life-saving torpedoes. This is a torpedo that you see at the beach from time to time. We all carry them in our kit bags, which will be part of the gear that is issued to the Ocean Rescue. If you folks had seen this, all of the guards are carrying torpedoes. Okay, this is standard gear. We all have fins and a torpedo and a number of other things. First aid kits, masks, and protective gear. These are the things that all of the guards will have. So if you do call in and somebody responds within 3 to 5 minutes, and well, someone should, that's their goal. To answer one of your questions earlier, how many people we have signed up already for the Village Ocean Rescue is in the range of 30 to 35 people. Yeah, and we'll have 20 to 25 that will be certified ocean guards for this summer. There'll be another 10 or 12 as auxiliary. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the activation
Yes.
of the call. I'm with the Southampton Town
Okay.
Ambulance Corps. So would the dispatch get you in on the call, or
So,
are the other participating agencies also calling? I was interested, so that's one question.
right.
the second question, I was really curious when you talked about the MBA falling into the water, which I could foresee happening in our district. And part of our
Yeah, moving your
protocol
bridges.
is, see to save, how many patients? So if I'm worried that we maybe don't have a patient, would I activate you, and how would I do that? I would call dispatch and say, we want Ocean Rescue to come search for a possible patient?
It would be curious to have a motor vehicle end up in the water with no person. It does happen. Someone can leave it in gear.
And an empty baby seat.
Yeah. Oof. Always better. Our experience is be safe and not sorry. So if it's unknown, it's one thing if there's a person standing in a parking lot. I didn't put the parking brake on. Probably we're in San Francisco, but most everything's flat here. So if something did roll off a pier and go in, maybe you would understand that. But if we believe, always go until you're called off. If someone on scene can determine that there's no one else in the water, no additional people or anything like that, then we start responding until we're called away from the scene.
So you
That
could
answer.
be additional that I could request if I'm on scene.
Well, that determination is made by protocol set up between all the agencies. In East Hampton, the police department receives 911 calls, and they have trigger information. If it says water, person in water, they know that they tone out the police department, the fire department, and Ocean Rescue was part of that same tone out. Because if we're not moving simultaneously, that person's in trouble.
Should we just hear a couple more stories? Would that be good? Christine, you had a nice, I understand you made a rescue and,
Well, that's why Ann
I mean, I
asked
know you made a
me,
lot of rescues, but this particular one.
when I came to this community, I had made a rescue, and that's why Ann asked me to be part of this. I guess it was 6 years ago. I was at my house on Little Neck Road by the college Marine Science Center, my neighbor's there. And it was cold, it was probably this weekend, and the water was cold, and I was putting flowers, I'm not really a green thumb, but I was putting flowers in a flower pot, and a fog rolled in, and my house is across from the reservation, I can see the reservation easily, I can swim there easily, it's very close to my house, but when the fog rolled in, I couldn't see the reservation, that's how thick it was. And while I was putting the flowers in, I heard help. And I was like, nobody should be in the water right now. Who's yelling help? And I hear help again, but I can't see anybody. So I ran down towards the public boat ramp, and there were some workers in a truck. And I said, do you hear someone yelling help? They said, yeah. I go, call 911. And so I ran back to my house, and I said, all right, the water's cold. I should put a wetsuit on and start swimming. But I was like, that's not a good idea. But my stand-up paddleboard was in the front yard, and I said, that's a better idea. I gotta go with equipment. That's what you're taught as a lifeguard. It's better to go with something so you don't have two victims. So I went out on my stand-up paddleboard, and I couldn't see anybody. And I kept saying, is anybody out here? And then I heard help again. So some guys on the reservation started talking to me, and they go, are you on a boat? I said, am I on a boat? No, I'm on a stand-up paddleboard. They couldn't see me. So you hear the sirens. The police had come, but you can't see anything, you can't see any lights or anything, and I kept yelling, somebody out there, somebody out there, and I didn't hear him anymore, and I was going to turn around, and I finally just said, let me yell one more time. And I yelled one more time, I said, somebody out here, and I heard help again. So I said, all right, I got to keep going, and I kept going towards Shinnecock Bay, and as I got to a channel marker, I saw a man holding onto the channel marker. So I paddled up as fast as I could, I said, I'm going to help you. And he's holding it, and he opened his eyes, and he looked at me going, really? This is what they said? So I said, I'm going to put you on my board and let go of the pole. And he said, I can't, I have my waders on. Now this is an interesting thing because when he was saying he's a fisherman, I'm not a fisherman. So I really didn't know why he couldn't get his waders off. I didn't know that somebody, when you wear waders and they fill with water, is supposed to have a knife at all times to cut the waders off. So the waders were filling with water, and I just knew from lifeguarding, if I just keep his head above water, that's all I have to do. I have to keep him breathing, that's all I have to do. So I asked him to hold on to my paddleboard. When he grabbed onto it, it started to flip, so I sat on the back. And then the reservation guys were still yelling, and I said, come help me, come help me. So the reservation guys who knew the terrain very well and the sandbar very well came out in their clothes and walked out on the sandbar, and I dragged him to the sandbar, and with their help, the three of us got him in. And then the police came and got him and things. But funny thing, a man from the reservation came walking down, he saw me huffing and puffing. He said, well, 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 what do we have, a damsel in distress? And the two guys goes, no, she got him. So he was laying on the ground. So anyway, the reservation people, which I never got their names, were very helpful, and they drove me home. They put my stand-up paddleboard in their car and drove me home. And I still see that camera, actually.
I would expect that you would have heard from the person you saved.
Yeah, he said he almost died 2 times in his life. One was working on his roof and falling off, and the second time was the time that he was climbing. But he still comes, but clams.
And it sounds like
Then they
you
find them
haven't
for
been around.
expired shellfish legs.
Did you fire it?
Christine, how did he get it? You had
The waves fill up, or what?
Well, there's sandbars all around Little Neck Road where he clams all the time. When the fog rolled in, he had lost his direction. So he walked towards where the channel is, where the boats can come in, where my boat, can go in easily with its, propeller and stuff because it's deep there. So he walked and then fell, and luckily he was near a channel marker and was able to grab onto the flag.
So this guy would have definitely, no questions on it, done. So,
We
yeah.
have time for
Yeah,
a
of course we
really
do.
quick one.
We do, it doesn't have to make it quick.
I know that we're going to want to open it up to more questions because I'm sure everybody has some more questions. But so another life saved because someone knowledgeable with some tools and skills was in the right place at the right time. And what these guys are looking to do is have that there 24/7, 365. So we've all got very dramatic stories about rescues and saves, and I've told a few of them over the years. But this one isn't dramatic at all, but it's just as important. My friend Dave was out surfing, and it was a moderately big day. So we're in our element, we're just having a ton of fun, we're getting pounded, but having fun. And at one point I realized that Dave didn't look like he was having fun. And then I looked at him again. This is before I had trained as a lifeguard with Jimmy Ryan, but if he wasn't in distress, he was on the verge of it. And so I paddled over. And I said, Dave, you all right? And his eyes were wide at that point, which is, one of the classical signs. And he really couldn't talk to me. So I stayed with him and I said, Dave, are you all right? Because it really wasn't that big. It wasn't that frightening. It shouldn't have been a situation where he wasn't okay, but he wasn't okay. And after a few seconds, I realized it wasn't okay. And I sat there with him. And I spoke to him. I said, look, we're going to be okay. It's not that big. We're going to calm down here. We're going to get through. And just hearing that voice, he told me that he came up to me 10 years later and said that that's what made the difference for him. Because I never touched him, never went near him. I stayed close. But after a little bit, I said, Dave, you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm okay. And then we paddled in through the impact zone, which was not okay. It was pretty heavy. He got in fine. And I wasn't about to give up my waves, so once he hit the beach, I was right back in the water. But it was and Johnny Ryan will tell us, Jim will tell us, Christine will tell us, it's about prevention.
Yeah.
So before he got into that situation, and 20 years later, he's still telling me, you saved my life. It didn't seem like it.
I bet he did. And the fellow that you saved, when you went up to him and said, I'm going to help you. I mean, if that were me, I would be confident that I would be okay.
And he said, this is what they said.
Well, that was his look. He just opened his eyes and didn't expect me. He was like, really?
That's a great story, yes.
I mean, you talked, but is there a particular rescue that just stays with you?
There are ones that There are some that scare the crap out of you, that are really life-threatening. And if they're revived and they come back, you're just totally blown away. There are times where there's spinal cord injury, I guess because of being in the water and around this so long now. Growing up, as I did, we had a house on the beach. I grew up, half my family members are guards. And then coming out here 25 years ago and getting very involved here, and being a surfer. If it's a surfer that you notice like Vinny, I've had it happen more than once. We look over and go, oh my gosh, that person lost their board and they're in dire trouble. And not making a big thing out of it. A lot of our, we call them rescues, but let's just say that a lot of our assists are about feeling confident, knowing exactly, we're not perfect, mind you, but going in and just letting them know that they're going to be okay. Be calm, I have you. Reassuring them that you will definitely be there with them until we are all in a good spot or a good place where we get other help. That is probably what really is amazing, and it happens. You'll see people in the supermarket 3 years later, and the kids will go, I remember when you helped me through the waves, or little things where they come up and tug you and say something. Probably the little ones tug at your heart, probably
So, yeah.
yes.
5 people in 5 minutes.
That's,
Back to East Hampton.
no, I won't. But I think the children, of course, will always tug at your heartstrings. But there are many a time, whether it's an older person who didn't expect to be swept out and totally taken by surprise, and they're so grateful. You know, I've been involved with this so long, and they all sort of maybe run together, maybe in triple digits at this point. But yeah, when you find someone, whether it's in super high seas or in just abnormal rip current, it's something when you walk away and say, I'm really glad I was there to help. I want you to come back.
Well, we may have these folks who may be willing to stay a little longer for questions, but I'd sort of like to wrap it up by saying that we owe you a huge debt of gratitude. You, 3 others in this room, who just give so much of their time and energy and love, helping us in ways that we are very unaware of most of the time. And only when the occasional, terrible thing happens are we fully aware of people like you who are just there for us. So, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank you for coming here tonight, because I know your time is valuable, and thank you for doing what you do. So let's end it by saying a huge thank you.